This presentation will be on the vertical alignment of biology and earth environmental science. This takes place at Hunter House High School in Gastonia, North Carolina. I've taught all three actually, elementary, middle, and high school. As an elementary teacher and even as a middle school teacher, we did work together very differently in a professional learning community than in high school. In elementary school, we worked together as interdisciplinary, as we did in middle school as well. Elementary school, you teach everything. Middle school, you teach a set of subjects in combination. It could be or a singular subject, but you're still in a 6th grade team or a 7th grade team. High school does not lend itself to that type of collaboration. We have 9 teachers in our science department, and there are 6 different sciences that are taught. We have 1 single chemistry teacher. And so for us, it is very different in high school level because we are very separated out in our different types of sections. So what we chose to do is vertical alignment and do vertical teaming, specifically with our earth environmental science and our biology. We started to notice there was some overlap, and we wanted to see if we could capitalize on that difference, capitalize on the similar concepts in biology and earth environmental science. In North Carolina, earth environmental science and biology are mandatory along with physical science in order to graduate with a high school diploma. In North Carolina, typically your freshmen will take your earth environmental science and your 10th graders, your sophomores, will take biology. So that does leave us that opportunity to vertically align ourselves, 9th grade earth environmental science, 10th grade biology. Also, North Carolina biology scores support the North Carolina School Report Card System. In the North Carolina School Report Card System, we are given a grade, a typical report card grade, A, B, C, D, based on a set of factors. Biology is one of them. It's actually biology, math 1, English 10, ACT or pre-ACT scores, and work keys. Wanting to continue on this review of the role of PLCs in high school, it says in the first few weeks, high school freshmen make the decision to continue their high school education. So there's definitely a transition period that happens from middle school to high school, which is obvious. But they're not fully aware of where they need to go. Giving them the opportunity to prepare themselves for the science curriculum that they will face, we found to be a key that we wanted to explore. An observation by researchers saw how school districts examined data from previous year's group to students to determine the weaknesses they will have as they moved on to the next level. We'll talk further about this and how this came into play with our PLC as we move forward ourselves. So an overview and structure of our PLC is our PLC consisted of 4 teachers. We had 2 biology and 2 earth environmental science teachers, and I was one of the earth environmental science teachers. The other earth environmental science teacher has been teaching at the school the same time I have, but she started as a biology teacher and has taught biology for 2 years and then has done earth environmental science for these last 2 years. So she noticed that there was some overlap. So this is actually a brainchild of hers to encourage us as science teachers to help increase the biology scores as best that we can. So she noticed this crossover that was happening and aligning with the biology department. But what we noticed is that there is some overlap, but it was not as much overlap as we had hoped when we started, especially determining where we were in our curriculums respectively. So we started out trying to locate that content, but through our discussions, we realized that students needed some skills practice that they were not getting. And as we talked to biology, we developed a list of the skills that students were missing, and we realized Earth Environmental Science can play a better part in developing skill development than we could in content development for our students. With any good PLC, you have to have a shared mission, vision, purpose, and values. So our mission, even though we changed from what we are focusing on, did not change from our initial mission, purpose, and values. So we still wanted to create those positive collaborative relationships. And our purpose was still to increase student achievement through integrated concept learning, just the learning of skills versus the learning of the actual content. However, we have not forgotten about the content. We will look at how we're going to do this. And our value statement ensure that all students learn the biology content. We will inform students of the connections that biology and earth environmental science have, and develop those instructional opportunities for students to make connections between them. When students see where they are going, it's very helpful to them to know this is why we are doing this. So when you go to the next level, you will have that information ready on hand and the skills you have to go to the next level. So we have this plan of action. One, we wanted to meet twice a month. We knew that we had hectic schedules, especially in the month of October for the Earth Environmental Science team for some conferences that we were attending. And we knew that biology had their district meetings as well. But we tried to continue. We will meet twice a month. We will find the time. And in the PLC, I think that's one of the biggest ones. We knew and were aware that biology, because of our biology scores, even though they were improved, that the district would be attending all of their PLC meetings and that they would have outside of school PLC meetings, day-long PLC meetings. So finding the time was a challenge, but we found it. We agreed that we're going to review biology scores from the biology PLC. So shared with us was a document that all of the biology teachers shared. And that document would show the percentages as data of what the overall objectives were met and what was the percentage of those that were answered correctly and what was the percentage per period of those who got it right, or the average, of the score. So it'll be 83% for first period, 56% for second period, and so forth and so on for third and fourth based on there. So we will review the biology scores, not technically with them. This is only. So our plan of action was to meet twice a month. We knew that there was very busy schedules that was happening due to biology district meetings and meetings that they were having additional PLC meetings because of the upcoming district meeting. And also because of the traveling schedule of the Earth Environmental Science team had 2 conferences to attend in that month. But we made time. I think that is the hardest part of completing its PLC in the type that we are doing with vertical alignment is making that time. We did do a little bit of sharing information through Google Docs because of our schedule, and that has worked out well. Biology scores were sent to us. We were actually shared in documents with the biology PLC so that we could look at the scores and the data as an Earth Environmental Science team, the same data that biology was looking at in their time as well, and looking over the formative assessments that they had. As we looked through that, we started to also notice some of the skills and when they might have missed that question. Why did they miss that question? Is there a certain set of questions that they are missing? And again, we originally looked at content because there's still that content overlap. So that was something we wanted to keep concentration on, better understanding that concept But looking at those missing skills became more important to us as we went along in our PLC. So content became secondary as missing skills became the primary focus of what we're doing to better help our students succeed. So we had to see what is our effectiveness with the shift, without the shift, what have we been doing that has looked well. So we had this development of short-term goals and looking at effectiveness short-term, and we also we'll be looking at it long-term. So our short-term goals is, did we make any improvements with the district formative assessments that the biology teachers gave? And we noticed that our two participants in our vertical PLC did show improvements on the graphing skills. They've had two, so we've only got to see the ones with the graphing skills and the chart reading. So our group did have a higher performance on that. They also reported to, as we were talking in our latest meeting, that they found it easier when they were given instruction to be able to relate. Hey, we heard you learn this in Earth Environmental Science, remember? Okay, and make those connections to that. Or I think one teacher said there was a similar concept she was able to relate to, even though it wasn't specifically it. It was a process, and she explained the process in Earth Environmental Science that matched with biology. And they had, of course, that overlapping student understanding is what it really led to, because there's that constructiveness of building. As I said previously, we're working on making sure that they have skills with us in Earth Environmental Science that they could take to biology. And there's that constructivist build for them. Long-term effectiveness, we really wanted to see in our short time what would be the long-term effects. And the long-term effects is we want to see the improvement in the EOC scores. And those won't be available until January. And as we continue growing our PLC, we'll work on the second semester and see how well things change overall for them as well. An increase in the Work Keys exam. Okay. The Work Keys exam, as mentioned before, I did not get a chance to mention what it was, but it tests you in 3 areas. It has math, it has reading, and it also has the location of information, which combines a lot of different concepts into it. And that location of information is the hardest part for students to understand. So Work Keys is like the pre-ACT prep program that we run. And I also want to see some assistance in the teacher planning in the long run and help them develop the skills to see that, one, a PLC can be effective outside of the content area, and 2, there's ways to, if you understand the content that came before, that you can work smarter, not harder. What interests me, as I saw, is the scalability of this. Our school is in a big push to have interdisciplinary teaching. What I also noticed is the possibility for scalability with our plan. Our school is headed toward, and they're making initiatives for the cross-curricular activities, interdisciplinary units. And within that, we want them to be able to look at possibly a PLC vertical alignment for other areas as well. So in addition to the curricular initiatives, looking at how vertical alignment PLCs can overall help student growth. We want to develop a presentable assessment, something to show that our administration that this can work and this is the effects that it has. And we also want to develop a school-wide assessment for assessment or evaluation tool for the vertical alignment PLC and the cross-curricular activities as it relates to the cross-curricular activities. As we wrap up, I did want to definitely make sure that our references were noted for this presentation. And I would like to thank you for your attentiveness.